Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, we all remember the empty threats of offer sheets and Mitch Marner possibly exploring them last offseason. We all remember the rumors that Lou Lamoriello and the New York Islanders were going to offer sheet Mitch Marner, and then the Columbus Blue Jackets put their name in that hat. And some of you may not know this, but a lot of you probably do. Apparently, there was going to be an absolute monster offer sheet tabled to Auston Matthews if he was an RFA on July 1st last year. But the Maple Leafs re-signed him beforehand, and they avoided that. So just to go over what an offer sheet is really quickly, an offer sheet is when you sign a restricted free agent, so someone who has not yet accumulated enough service time in the league to be considered a unrestricted free agent. And if you sign them to any of these amounts, you then owe the team that you signed them to the corresponding compensation. But the trick is that they have to be the draft picks that originally belonged to you in next year's entry draft. And a lot of you are probably screaming at me already because the Toronto Maple Leafs either do not have their 2021 second or their 2021 third round pick as part of the conditions on the Kyle Clifford and Jack Campbell trade. Because the Toronto Maple Leafs, whichever pick it is that they end up surrendering to the LA Kings, they could just trade for that pick back. And if they don't re-sign Kyle Clifford, it would just be the 2021 third round pick that they would need to get back. And if you're now sitting there thinking to yourself, well, that's just unrealistic. No one's ever done that before. Heading into the 2009 entry draft, the Toronto Maple Leafs wanted to acquire Phil Kessel. And Brian Burke, who was the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs at the time, is a big baby when it comes to offer sheets because of an incident between him and Kevin Lowe when he was the general manager of the Ducks. Look up that story. They threatened to almost fight each other. But even if Brian Burke and the Toronto Maple Leafs wanted to tender an offer sheet to then restricted free agent Phil Kessel, they couldn't because they didn't own their own second round pick in the 2010 draft. But Peter Chiarelli, the then GM of the Boston Bruins, was giving the Leafs a bit of a hard time. They were negotiating all summer long, so Brian Burke went out and reacquired the Toronto Maple Leafs' 2010 second-round pick in order to have the necessary picks in order to table an offer sheet to Phil Kessel. He didn't end up pulling the trigger on an offer sheet, but if you noted the date on the previous trade was September 5th, the Phil Kessel trade got done less than 2 weeks after that. So now that we have that established, and it's entirely plausible that Kyle Dubas can reacquire either that second or the third round pick and have his picks in order to tender an offer sheet to someone, who's worth offer sheeting? And some hockey executives and pundits and journalists will say, oh, you never want to table an offer sheet to someone because it soils your relationship with that general manager and that team moving forward. I got a newsflash for you. Nobody likes Kyle Dubas anyway. His goal shouldn't be to make friends here. This is a list from Cap Friendly on the players who are going to be restricted free agents on October 9th, I believe is when free agency starts. And there's a couple of players here who are very interesting who belong to teams that are already in tight against the salary cap, never mind the internal one that they might have placed upon them. These four names here, if one of them or all of them are RFAs by the time free agency starts, the Maple Leafs should heavily consider offer sheeting one of them. Taking a look at the Tampa Bay Lightning here in their cap-friendly page, they only have $5.3 million in cap space to work with. Who knows what their internal cap is or if they're working with one. And that's not to mention that they only have 3 defensemen under contract for next season and RFAs including Anthony Cirelli, Eric Cernak, and Mikhail Sergachev to re-sign with only $5.3 million in cap space. To re-sign all 3 of those players, they're more than likely going to be needing somewhere between 2 or 3 times the amount of cap space to get that done. And they could offload one of their forwards making money here, but I don't know, it's still going to be pretty tight. They're a divisional rival anyway. Why would we care if Kyle Dubas is friends with Julien Brisebois? They're not going to make trades anyway. Even if the offer sheet goes unsuccessful and the Leafs aren't able to get any of those 3 guys, why would you make it easy on them? Put some pressure on them. Anthony Cirelli and Mikhail Sergachev are worth somewhere in between that middle tier of compensation where it's a first and a third round pick. I don't know, play around with the numbers and make Tampa really uncomfortable. The New York Islanders have $8.9 million in cap space to go out there and re-sign Matthew Barzal, Ryan Pollock, and Devin Taves. Don't make it easy on Lou Lamoriello. Make him earn that Jim Gregory award. Because if you're looking at their roster and you're looking at the players who make any sort of money here, who are they trading away to clear cap space? Johnny Boychuk, that guy's 36 years old and he makes $4 million in real money this year and next year. No one's taking that deal. Because remember, teams this offseason don't necessarily care so much what a player's cap hit is. They're looking at what he actually makes in salary. $2.5 million for a fourth liner in Leo Komarov, $2 million the season after that. I mean, he's got 3 points in 15 games for the Islanders this year in the playoffs, 14 points and 4 goals in 48 games from them. No one's taken that contract. Nick Leddy, I mean, maybe, but that's $5.5 million. Oh my God, his salary actually goes up this season and next season. Yeah, nobody's taking that contract either. And to add insult to injury here, they don't have their own first, they don't have their own second this year, they don't have their own second round pick next year. What assets is Lou Lamoriello trading away here or attaching to these bad deals to get rid of them? And that's me being nice to them and not assuming that they're working under an internal salary cap, which most teams are. And I mean, the Islanders, they have problems drawing fans. They don't have their own building, really. They're one of the teams that's not going to be operating under an internal cap. Most teams' internal salary caps are rumored to be in the low to mid $70 million range. So again, why would you make it easy for Lou Lamoriello? Offer sheet Ryan Pulock, who again is worth somewhere in between this compensation tier. You're telling me Lou Lamoriello's not sweating if you table this guy an offer of 5x5? Put the heat on a little bit more, 5.5x5. Doesn't matter, we'll front load the shit out of the deal. Kyle Dubas speaks about exploiting market inefficiencies all the times, and by all means, offer sheets are a market inefficiency. All of these guys, maybe except Eric Cernak, are worth a first and a third round pick, hands down. Kyle, we know you're a nice guy, but it's time to go out there and get our conditional picks back and use the money that you have behind you to really start pushing people around. I told you guys at the end of the play-in round that the Toronto Maple Leafs were going to have a lot of options at their disposal to fix the problems on this team. And this is another legitimate one, and we got more tricks up our sleeves still. The Toronto Maple Leafs have more money than everyone else on a regular day, but this is an offseason where everyone else has less and they still have the same amount of money. Go out there and freaking bully people around. Let me know what you guys think about this idea in the comment section. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did like it and subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, I still got more tricks up my sleeve.